Hello everybody, this is Mirta again with a review for episode 2 of Sparked, and one thing that I'm gonna say is the fact that viewership has really dropped. I am reviewing this like 4 hours after it came out because I was at work, and unlike the previous episode that had hundreds of thousands of views, this one currently has 22,000. So obviously whatever they did with part 1, it just didn't sit well with people, and people just like jumped ship and didn't really want to continue watching, which I don't blame them. Now, I am coming in with a bit of a new perspective because I decided to participate in the storyteller side of the Sims Sparked competition, which currently is set to Destination Wedding, and I just got to know how much of a shitty game The Sims 4 is for making machinimas. So if you wanna see that, that is also linked in the description down below. Either way, I hope that they provided these people with mods, because if they didn't, I feel like really sorry for them. So we don't start off very strong with this episode because we're starting off with a skill challenge again, and the skill challenge is about as bland as it goes. Skill challenge. Create a sim in 3 stages of growing up with unique rooms. Bland and boring as far as the challenge goes. But this time the teams are actually picking up, and they're coming up with some really unique ideas, which I loved seeing because it's something that I wouldn't think about when I thought about this challenge. So it's the actual players that are starting to carry the show now that most of the viewership is gone because, well, everybody just really got turned off from part 1. Team Gnome went with Northeastern England miner strikes, and honestly, it's not something that I would have ever thought about, and I kid you not, they design a full-on mineshaft, which is friggin' incredible considering the game that they're working with. Team Cowplant went with boy that struggles to find his gender identity and wears a lot of makeup. And that didn't go off well with me because, well, it's about as bland as the skill challenge topic. I like seeing people think outside the box, especially when the box is so boring. Like, you're just given white cube and told to play with it. It's as colorless and boring as it can be. Now, Team Llama went with a child that's born in an orphanage that escapes to become a wizard, which is once again friggin' creative considering the challenge that they were given. Now, they did say something at this point that I just really had to comment about, but I'm just gonna allow Team Llama to speak for themselves.
I feel like we are at a bit of a disadvantage because you're a streamer, and I feel like a lot of the challenges they have given us, they're more focused towards YouTubers. Like, you're streaming, you got all the time, you can kind of just let the Sims rip, do whatever you want to. When it comes to YouTube videos, you have to structure in a certain way within a time frame, so we have to like really make this pop.
Now, I don't actually understand what X Mara means in here. Look, lady, when I did that friggin' machinima, I had weeks. I literally took over a week because in one free day, I designed my Sims, and another free time, I designed my build, and then I spent my whole Saturday just like modding the game to get 3 minutes worth of script going. My whole friggin' Saturday, just like on that bit. So I don't really understand. As a YouTuber, you also have all the time in the world. I mean, unless you're on a very strict schedule, in which case you're just gonna upload something easier, like in the meantime, to just plug up the holes while you build this bigger thing in the background. You don't get any more or less time for being a streamer or a YouTuber. Both have all the time in the world because both are not really running on strict time schedules when it comes to big projects.
So are they breaking into this building to seek shelter?
How will we be able to physically depict that? You could probably say they got adopted by a spellcaster.
I like the idea of them running away.
While I'm building...
Now, she has a good point. Before even like the judging starts, before everything else, is that there is quite a lot of things that you can't actually depict in The Sims 4. It just comes into how limited the whole game is. It's super friggin' limited. So I feel for Mirror in here. You have to have ideas that are very in the box. But let's go on.
And have them in different rooms for each stage of their life.
So this is the sim that we decided to make. He's John McNally, and because of the era that we chose, it was Northern England in the 70s and 80s.
Could you explain to me why Plumbella needs fucking subtitles? Sorry for that. Any of you struggling to understand what the hell she's saying? Because I'm not.
I took a lot of inspiration from my actual family life. I'm thinking a lot on my dad's childhood. He was telling me a lot of his clothes were hand-me-downs because everyone was too poor back then to have their own. And then the child one as well. He's dressed slightly smarter. He's got the little cozy jumper that looks like it's been through the wash quite a couple of times. And then as a teenager, this is where he's really starting to get his independence. So again, still styled on some of the looks that my dad used to wear. It's basically my dad.
Nice. This is John. We really focused on a working class family, and his dad has one day promised him that he will take him into the mines. This is John now as a child. He's grown up and his father has decided that it's time to introduce him to the mining ways of the town. Mining is super important to the community, and then this is now John as an adult, and he started a group. The miners' rights were starting to be stripped away at this point in time, so he really has to rally the troops together to try and fight the government.
Thank you.
Now, for me, this team really impressed me because holy Jesus frick, they built a mine shaft. Nobody else even thought about building the mine shaft. Out of the whole judges also reacted really positively to them, so it's gonna be a bit weird when the challenge ends. But anyway, he did say something weird.
Yeah, I'm actually really impressed by this team. And I think it's incredibly difficult to do a period piece. Simproof.
It's incredibly difficult to do a period piece. Dear developer, I wonder why. Could it be because your game is not meant to be creative with? Because I think it could be that your game is not meant to be creative with. That's all for the judging of, like, Team Gnome. I actually have to read through my notes to remember which team is what. And we're gonna be moving to Team Llama, like, right now. But in general, I think that Team Gnome performed really, really well there, and it's quite upsetting that their first dirty in this episode is like done like right at the end of the skill challenge when they're like, oh, who won? But anyways, this is Team Llama.
I have little baby girl Amethyst.
I have absolutely no notes for this. This was quite boring and straightforward.
I tried to dress her to kind of reflect the life she's living. And as we go to her child age, she grows into herself a little bit more. You can clearly see her favorite color, purple. She's a bit of a bookworm. And in her teen stage, I tried to integrate, you know, different styles from different packs to try to give her like a little flair, use things that I've never used before. And I tried to, you know, bring it all together to give her a nice, cute, different look. Great job.
I feel like Mirror had a really awful way of trying to explain what the hell their story is even about. I mean, she kind of didn't. So it's just like, this is a plainly dressed child, this is a child dressed in purple, and this is me combining packs that I normally do not use.
Yeah.
Here we have baby Amethyst living in an orphanage, dreaming of one day living in a castle. But Marlene the Meanie has other plans. Later, Amethyst runs away and she stumbles across this mysterious potion shop. This potion shop was once owned by her spellcaster grandfather, and she's taken to learning all of his spells. And now she's going to use her magic to help all the unfortunate children and get back at Marlene.
Their judging was fairly not impressive. Their performance was like, it's okay. It's okay. But now moving on to Team Cowplant, what I do think that this team had was they had a very original idea, and I love the fact that they were thinking out of the box. I can't stand people thinking inside the box because EA is not giving you very creative boxes.
This is Mac. He's a sweet little boy. We thought this is a great time for toddlers to really be able to like express themselves before any type of like societal preset comes into mind where it's like,
just gonna say, toddlers have like zero amount of self-expression because what they dress is chosen like entirely by their parents.
boy, I have to wear blue. This is the period where they can just be like, I'm gonna wear whatever I want.
You mean whatever the mommy
This is
wants.
where he's starting to experiment a bit more with his fashion. I've made his outfit a little bit more like his dad because they have a very close bond. And him as a teen, he hasn't fully figured it out yet, but he's more assertive in what he wants. He is not masculine nor feminine, he's just Mac.
So we have his dad, they're very close, his mother died, unfortunately, so he's a university dean. Max spends a lot of time in university, sometimes he comes along, and he also...
Max is a
loves
Disney
dogs.
princess.
He is obsessed
His
with
mother
them.
died.
So now we are in school. Considering how educated his father is, he is not the biggest fan of school. He knows who he is because he's got such a supportive family around him. Next to him, his best friend is actually quite a jealous child. They usually play dolls together, but today she is not going to play nice. So we're going to mock his outfit, and he is not happy about that. He is a style queen. He knows exactly who he is. We're smashing the dollhouse. But now, as a teenager, as we said, he's a prodigy. He's way ahead of his time. He's already enrolled in...
Okay, he hates school, he doesn't really like school, but at teenage age, he's a prodigy and already enrolled in university. I gotta say, I graduated school 1 year early. 1 year early, and then I had a gap year. That was friggin' a horrible, horrible experience because I did 2 years in 1 year. And my school allowed it. Very rarely do you find a school that does allow it. I have no idea how their imaginary boy went from being bad at school and hating it to a prodigy that has already enrolled in university. I have to ask, how many years earlier exactly? Because you're like, oh, he's a teenager. Teenager is a very broad state. It's anywhere from 13 to 19, which is why teen porn is a category, because 19 is still considered a teenager.
University, he started to dabble in makeup as well because, you know, he's an artist, so he's going to go ahead and do his makeup, do his thing.
I'm gonna stop them right here, and I'm gonna ask you, which team do you think won? Any thoughts whatsoever? Which of the story do you think has been the most basic? And what do you think EA likes to reward?
You guys are the winner because of the fact that you guys did a family that was relatable. You did it in a way.
You guys are the winners because you played with a 21st century concept that has been relatable. Nobody told Doc's team that they had to be relatable, because if somebody did tell them, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have been doing a wizard's tower. And of course, not a lot of people work in a mineshaft these days, but Plumbella and the English Simmer worked their asses off in order to bring like a piece of history to the table. And the judges are like, well, you see, this guy that's playing with makeup, he was being very relatable. They did a dirty. They did a dirty to the other two teams by not even saying that apparently relatability was one of the judging elements. How can you judge something on how relatable? I actually want them to give the criteria and give the breakdown of how many points they gave to each criteria and why. Because at the moment, it just seems whatever strikes their fancy. What kind of competition functions of, whatever I fancy today. Now, we actually have the first challenge in the game that's at least a little bit creative. So, each team drafts 3 expansion packs, or game packs, to serve as main ingredients for a story focused on the supernatural. And the stories that they come up with are like pretty not bad, but this is like the packs that they got to choose from. And at first I was like, wait a minute, if you draft 3 at a go, you can actually end up with a combination where there's no supernatural, because not every pack in The Sims 4 has a supernatural, but no, they did it so that the winning team drafts first, and the second team drafts, and the third team drafts, then the winning team drafts again, so on and so forth. It kind of rolls on and rolls on. Now, one thing that wasn't too clear to me is that, from my perspective, these were the packs that they were allowed to use. Like, you're allowed to use them, but if you don't need elements from that pack, you don't have to use them.
Each team will draft 3 different packs to serve as your main ingredients for your team-wide creations. You will use your drafted packs to create a short video story with the following theme: supernatural.
Ooh.
Okay, so for me, it's like, okay, supernatural is the main thing, and here's like the 3 things that you can actually use in it. What they meant was like, use them 30%, 30%, 30%, that sort of it. Like, use them very significantly. And it didn't come off like that to me as a viewer, and I'm not too sure that it come off like that to the contestants. But anyways, Team Llama decides to do celebrity struggles with loss of youth, gets bitten by a vampire story, which I am gonna rate as a boring idea, but they actually have pretty good execution later down the line. Team Cowplant does mermaid cult is kidnapping frat boys from university, which sounds like a fantastic idea and very creative. And Team Gnome is doing aliens kidnapping Sims to work as slaves in their restaurant, which is, it's okay as an idea, I suppose. They decided to incorporate the judges into their story, and there was like some really, really dumb editing at that point.
Go with the 3 judges getting kidnapped by Rayvon. Rayvon's this alien in disguise. He basically takes them to space.
Like, I just don't like these kind of things. I don't like photo manipulation, childish sound effects. So what's up with that? Now, they did have a twist. Twist was to incorporate a sim from last skill challenge into this one. Now, let's see how they have done. And Team Llama is up first. Oh boy, I feel like I am my own TV presenter right now.
This is the story of a high-profile celebrity who discovers an unexpected solution to the stress that comes with aging. Nancy James, also known by her stage name Nancy Nursh, lived in Del Sol Valley as one of the biggest stars of our time. Known for some of her greatest hits, The Nursing Diaries, Nurse Nubu, and Jeannie LaRae and Chill. But of course, with time comes age. Nancy was a very vain woman. Aging had always been one of Nancy's biggest fears, and over time, it drove her to the point of obsession. Nancy had heard old wives' tales that a spellcaster named Amethyst, who lived in El Salvadorada, had the power to restore youth.
This story is incredible.
She decided to travel to El Salvadorada to find out who the mysterious woman was and if the rumors were true. You can't be the old lady of the jungle. You're so young.
I am 200 years old. After I killed my old headmaster, Marlene the Meanie, I tapped into a dark side. I used my magic to stay young, and I could...
That was actually something I just noticed. That's not my mouse, that is their mouse. That is their mouse left on their video screen.
can do the same for you, but it's going to cost you. The price you pay is to become a vampire.
Over time, Nancy began to see the effects of her transformation. Her skin slowly returned to its smooth and supple form. It was as if she were 25 years old all over again. Except this time, She's walking on a new red carpet.
I gotta say that their story came off really well. I thought that the idea was really boring, but they executed it super well to a point where there is a lot of production value in this. But considering that they only had 6 hours, this is absolutely fantastic, and judges rightfully reacted to it as such. Now, the other two stories, quite a bit poorer, if you ask me, but Team Cowplant, I'm not even too sure whether it's the show's editing that's bad or whether they had really bad editing and the judges didn't comment on it.
Foxbury Institute has always been a normal university, but lately something fishy has been going on.
Yeah, see that? The fuck is this? Come on, Sims team. Why is everybody leaving their bloody mouse on the screen? And I realized that that is really hard to see over my cat's head, but like, it is right there. And I can like mouse over my own mouse directly on top of it.
We're having a party tonight.
It's permanently there! And it's not even the in-game mouse, it's the friggin' Windows mouse. Is whoever playing the video, did they just leave their mouse on?
Bring Daddy Bean.
Yeah, it doesn't move!
Spotted the Chads being abducted one by one. This rooftop party is turning into a search party. It's about to rain. I can feel it in my boobs. Let's take this party elsewhere.
That's facts.
I don't think it's the story that's confusing. I think it's the way that we told it. I am starting to get a little bit worried about this one.
Can you see how they no longer have a voiceover? And either we're not getting that voiceover played, or they literally no longer have a voiceover in their video, and not a single judge is commenting about it. Like, when that happened in episode 1, they were immediately like, oh, shaking their heads and commenting about it. And this time it's just... There were just two mouses! Okay, so that is the video mouse. That is their editing mistake, where they have left the mouse in. And this is whoever is currently playing this on a projector, leaving a fucking mouse on screen.
I'm not exactly sure.
I'm not exactly sure either. I mean, it's... The execution is like super poor, and I was like, okay, unless Plumbella's team performs really badly, which is Team Gnome, then it's very clear cut who should go home.
Judges have been hard at work on filming Sparked for the last few days, but little do they know that someone's been watching.
Alright, judges. Now that y'all have seen Team Gnome's presentation, how are you feeling? I really enjoyed it being so personal, but I can't wait to see... With Rayvon's undercover intel, he witnessed the hard work and dedication the judges had. The exact traits the aliens needed to make their restaurant out of this world. These judges were no longer in control. But Bella Goth has been here for years. She knows the aliens' mind games, and she isn't afraid of the consequences. Luckily for the judges, John's small body can't be accessed by mind control, and being used to the mines, he can slip into spaces undetected.
I kind of really love the fact that they acted their own sound effects.
Ninja's coding skills aided their escape, And even John managed to find a new career path.
Wow.
I don't think that it was as good as Team Llamas, but that was very well executed story. It was very clear what it was about. It had a lot of aliens and alien activity, and that's like their supernatural element. I think that they did fairly alright. Like, I wouldn't rank them above Team Llama, but I do think that they were doing quite well. But then the judges just like started full on shitting on them.
I don't know if you incorporated all aspects of the challenge in quite so strong. Strangerville, I saw minimal assets there, and it seemed not too important to the storyline. So, you know, I had a lot of good chuckles. I thought it was really funny, but feel like maybe there was a couple little holes in there.
You see, that's the thing. I never realized that their judging to begin with for this assignment has got to do with incorporating absolutely every pack is like a perfect split. But apparently I was supposed to, if I'm as a viewer, can't get that. I don't think competitors would get that either. And for me, it didn't look like anything was lacking. To me, it just sounded like, hey, use these 3 packs to make a story that's based on supernatural. And that's what they did. And their story was coherent, and their story wasn't lacking anything. And their story went down just fine. But, guess who goes home?
Had, you know, really high points. I thought the incorporation of mermaids was done really well, even if there were beats of the story that we kind
Incorporations of mermaids were done really well to a story that wasn't coherent and halfway wasn't even voice acted.
of missed. That really shined through, and we understood the most important aspect. With you guys, you made us. You played to our ego. How could you go wrong with that? You guys did good.
They both had really strong points, and also they both had things that just weren't quite there yet.
I mean, these are 2 powerhouse teams. Yes!
Exactly, you are.
Lots of like humor, just like great storytelling, originality, but at the end, you know, the decision had to be made.
Great storytelling with that story that wasn't finished.
That is being eliminated. Is Team Gnome.
I cannot believe that.
I also cannot bloody believe that because they just done those girls dirty. That's all. They didn't get to win the previous challenge even though they did a very creative thing based on relatability, which wasn't even disclosed as like a ranking thing. And then they got eliminated here versus a team that apparently didn't finish their voiceovers, or we weren't shown that. If we weren't shown that, then why the hell weren't we shown that? That seems like a very, very bad editing on the show producer's part then. Or they legitimately shut up halfway through their presentation, and it was super confusing, and they didn't get thrown out. So whichever is it, does this show have shoddy editing, or are the judges biased? Or both. It could actually be both. So, that has been Sparked Episode 2. Any kind of interest in this has dropped off from the Sims community significantly, judging by the view count on the video. I don't blame them. The only good points is that by Episode 2, they're not actually trying to create fake drama anymore because it's just not working. And nobody's being like portrayed as super bad guys. Everyone's being portrayed as being very, very supportive of the enemy teams, which is how the editing should have been done to begin with, because they all looked like they were supporting each other to begin with. So why try and create this fake drama? But at the same time, they have just really done Team Gnome a dirty. They performed really well, and then they were just arbitrarily kicked out. That's it from my perspective. And if you go to the comments, this person added a spoiler. There was pretty much nothing between Team Gnome and Team Cowplant. I would say that Team Cowplant performed much worse. They were both on the same level, but they eliminated Team Gnome for the shock factor, considering they had won both challenges in the first episode. So, the show will arbitrarily bring you down if you're doing too well. to a point where you're thrown out of the competition. That's the kind of show that we're running with. I don't have very high opinion on The Sims Sparked. Honestly, this episode was better to watch, but god, that was rage-inducing. That was rage-inducing. If you're still here, still watching this video, thank you. Thank you for giving me your attention, and I hope I'm gonna see you with my other videos as well. I upload daily, so if you like my content, please subscribe. Or in the next part of The Sims Sparked review, because as I remember, there's gonna be 4 episodes, and I'm gonna be reviewing each one of them, and I'm already halfway done. Hooray! I don't actually think that they're gonna renew it for season 2. I don't know why I have that opinion, but it might be the fact that they didn't do very well with this one and that everyone's interest flopped. So yeah, toodaloo.